everyone, it's Anna, and today we are going to be talking about the books I read in July. So, full disclosure, I am recording this on July 29th. So we will see if I read anything else, and maybe I'll do like text at the end if I read anything else before that, but my boyfriend is coming to stay with me for the rest of the week, and I feel like he would be distracting in the background. So, yeah. I don't have a lot of books, physical books to show. Quite a few of them I have given off to people to borrow and read, aka my mother. So, yeah, we will get started. So, the first book I have the news on the back. I'm recording this at 7:12 a.m. on a Wednesday, and I usually start work at 7:30. So we're gonna see if I can get this done before I need to start work today. I think it will be okay if I step in at 7:45. Okay, so the first book is Get Out of Your Head, Stop Your Spiral of Toxic Thoughts by Livy Alone. So this is another self-development book. I try to read at least, I'm not even gonna like enumerate it. I read a lot of them. So, the beginning of July, I was going through a rough transition at work of so many things, so I thought this would help. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really remember liking it. Honestly, I couldn't tell you like specifics about the book. I just remember I really enjoyed reading it. It has kind of a religious undertone, so I would definitely keep that in mind if that's totally not your vibe, not your style, or anything else like that. Sorry, all of my emails are coming in from work because I accidentally hit my keyboard. So I do think it helped. It's a lot about, being kind with yourself, being like giving yourself grace, and kind of, like it's not all the worst thing that's gonna happen. And I will say most self-help books repeat themselves a lot, which is why you could, if you looked at my like personal development section on Goodreads, you would see how all of the reviews or ratings started off really high and they've gotten lower over time, just because I feel like they are so repetitive, which is fair. There's only so much you can say, but it's how you say it, which in a way that really connects with someone. Some people like relating via stories, some people like the tough love. So I would say this is one of the better ones that I have read, but I also haven't read a lot about toxic thoughts. Most of them are about like time management or leadership. So with that, I would say it was a good book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And the next one is also a self-development book. I've read, I think, one other in the series that I have the book of. Sorry, my color is being annoying. Which is You Are a Badass Every Day by Jen Sincero. You'll learn I cannot pronounce last names. This one I loved. It's not really a book, it's just kind of like an affirmation a day kind of situation. I just loved it. So highly recommend this. Even if you don't read You Are a Badass, highly recommend this book. The next book was Livy Alone by Barry Eisler. This was a book recommended to my mom. She loves this series. So it's about a woman named Livy Alone who, when she was really young, I want to say it was like 7, her and her sister got sold into human trafficking from Thailand to the northeastern region of America. I want to say it was Seattle. And a lot of people died in the transit. And essentially her and her sister got separated, and she got taken in by a senator's brother So he was really high up and he starts sexually abusing her. It's written in kind of past and present narrative, so like dual timelines of, you know, her being transported into sex trafficking and her now she's a police officer in the Seattle PD and she's still trying to find her sister. She was trying to find her sister back then. She's epic in jujitsu, and ultimately, you know, is trying to, she really misses her sister, and then, you know, things happen. It was an extremely depressing book, I would say, to read. I will say she's a total badass when she is fighting and, you know, like searching. Like, she has no remorse. Like, she's like, my life has been so effing tough that I don't care anymore. I just want to know where my sister is, which is very heart-wrenching. And then she eventually goes back to Thailand and she's like, what if I run into my parents, or who sold her into sex trafficking, or her brother who, you know, she's never really, you know, met him, and that, you know, her parents didn't sell him into sex trafficking. Why, like, her and her sister, and kind of so much happens, and so it's action and heart-wrenching, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I probably would have given it 3 out of 5 stars, but since my mom loved it so much, I felt like rude telling her like I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm assuming the other books in the series are would be better for me, because just like I like could not handle those stories of her being sexually abused in her home after she was sold into sex trafficking. Like, I literally, like, there were some parts I just skipped over. Like, I could not emotionally handle that. So I'm assuming the other ones would be better if it was just like her being a badass fighting people with no remorse. I like that. So yeah, that was Livy Alone by Barry Eisler, and that's the first book in the series. I don't know how many there are, but I believe there was just a latest one released. The next book I have, which was Howl's Moving Castle, which was part of the Touch of Whimsy book club for June, I believe, and I was a little late reading it. So I did not know this was a big deal. I didn't know it was a movie until I saw the back. I told my boyfriend I was reading it. He's like, oh, you're getting into like whatever this genre is called. It's not anime, but you guys got me. I was like, I didn't know. So, and this is by Diana Wynne Jones. I did not like this book. It's just totally not my style. It's not my vibe at all, which is fair. I mean, I generally read thrillers, as we're gonna learn later. This is my month of romance. And this does have a romance in it, but like just in general, this book is not for me. I would probably read or watch the movie before I read the book. Before you read the book, I like skimmed through the movie. I'm totally not a movie person. I do not have the attention span to sit through a movie, and it looked decent, but again, I just wasn't a fan of the premise of this book, so I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. So this one is Girl Through Glass by Sari Wilson. So I had this book on my TBR forever, or it might not have been actually on my TBR, but on my bookshelf. So I love ballet, books about ballet and ballerinas. So I got really excited when I saw this at Half Price Books, and I think I got it for like $2 or $3. And this was back last year in 2019 that I probably bought this. And so I got really excited, and I've started to read it so many times. It's not even been on my bookshelf, but been on my nightstand for so long, and I just could not get into this book. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna effing read this and get this off my TBR and just call it quits. So this is also written in dual timelines, and honestly, I just have had such bad luck with dual timelines. I think I need to take a break from them. I don't know if they're just being overused, but why is everything written in freaking dual timelines? About a girl named Mira who discovers ballet when she's young, and her parents are going through a messy divorce, and you know, it's just about her life in ballet then. And in present day, she has changed her name to Kate, and she's a professor of dance in the Midwest. I don't want to say it was Indiana. It was Indiana, wasn't it? And she got a note that could ruin her career. She has like a sexual harassment charge against her. I don't know if that's a spoiler alert. I feel like it comes like very quickly in the book. And basically she eventually goes back to New York to kind of track down who wrote this note that could harm her career. And this book did not get interesting until freaking halfway through, and then once I got like halfway getting good, and then I couldn't put it down, but that first half was a torture to get through. So basically until she got to New York, I did not give two rats. I will also say that this wasn't really big on the ballet. It didn't make me like enjoy like the romance of ballet, not romance in like romantic, but like the form of art that it is. So I gave that book 3 out of 5 stars. I could probably give it 2, maybe 2.5. Again, the second half of the book was really good though, so that's kind of where the issue comes into play. But if you don't mind ballet books and you want another dual timeline book, go for that. The next book, you guys, we're getting into the fun stuff. So this July 2020 market is the year I have started reading romance books. So I'm not gonna say I've never read romance books. I read them a lot as like a tween, like if you consider Gossip Girl, The Clique, the A-List series, which all had romance in it. But I don't know what. It just like, I was like, I'm gonna try this out. If you guys don't know me, I'm really into sports. So I was really hoping that there would be a football romance book that I would like read the description and like, but I haven't found it. So we're gonna get into the ones I've read. So the first one was The Deal by Elle Kennedy. It's like probably the most popular sports romance book. I loved it. So it's about it's written in dual perspectives. So one from Hannah, the female lead, and Garrett, the male lead. And Hannah, they're both in like I think it's ethics class together, and Garrett needs Hannah's help tutoring to get her through the midterm. He has to kind of break her down. She is a singer, musical major, I don't know. Obviously I was not in the performing arts department, because I cannot think of what that's called. And then eventually, you know, she has kind of a more tragic romantic past, and obviously they become friends. Obviously they end up together, spoiler alert, and she eventually breaks her down by helping her get to know this other man on the football team who she likes, and then Garrett gets really possessive and he realizes he likes her, and then she's like, you need to unbreak me, and then they fall in love, and it's great. So I just told you the whole premise of the book. It's still great. I gave it 5 stars. I read it twice this month, or listened to it twice this month, so that counts as 2 reads. I would 1000% recommend this book. Okay, the next book is How to Date a Douchebag: The Studying Hours by Sarah Ney. Also gave this 5 stars. Obviously I have a taste for books. So the female lead, James Clark, also written in dual perspectives of James Clark and Sebastian Osborne. And I've also read this book twice this month, or listened to this book twice this month. They meet in the library. He's with his friends trying to find his tutor, and then his friend bets him $500 to kiss her, basically. And then he keeps seeing her around campus and can't stop thinking about her because the kiss was so amazing. She always wears pearls and a cardigan, which I love. I totally related to this character, which is the best thing when you're reading a romance novel, because I additionally have been known to always wear a cardigan. And then he's like, okay, this is a challenge. She doesn't know who I am. He's a famous wrestler at Iowa. And he ends up going on a ski trip with her, likes her more. They do bets. He goes out with her roommate. She gets jealous. It's amazing. Love, love, love it. Love it. Love it. So, 5 stars. Read it twice. The next one is The Play by L. Kennedy. So, I really like sports romance novels. The male is Hunter Davenport. The female lead is Demi Davis. Demi, they're on a year-long school project, or a semester-long school project together. And Demi is with she has a boyfriend, and they've been together for a few years, and then forever. And then eventually they break up, and she wants to rebound, with him. So, it's like a lot of her breaking him down. Like, he's like sworn off girls for the year, because he needs to focus on school and hockey. And eventually she breaks him down, and they fall in love, and it's great. So, I gave that one 3 out of 5 stars, because it wasn't the studying hours or the deal, because those aren't like my standard now. Okay, will we ever get through this? It's 7:30 at this point, so will we ever get through this? Probably not. Okay, the next one I don't have in physical copy because I gave it to my mother, and then I actually just bought a second copy for my boyfriend. I'm not going to go into too much detail of it. It's called Conversations with Mary by Anna Raimondi. If you are thinking about religion or anything like that, I think this is a great book. If you're going through a rough time with religion and kind of want to get back into it, I think this is a great book. It's written in true conversation style, so we'll say like Anna said this, Mary responds to this, which obviously I love with anybody with my name 1,000 times in a book. I think this is a great book for someone who's really uneasy with religion. It doesn't matter what religion you are, as long as you're freaking a good person. Take care of the planet, take care of others, pray for people, you're gonna be fine. It doesn't matter if you're Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, anything. Loved it. We're not hating on gay people or premarital sex or anything like that. You can marry whoever you want. God will still love you. It says it in the Bible. And, if you make a mistake, confess your sins, be repentful, and you're gonna be fine. It's what I don't have a physical copy of. And it's The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I gave this to my mom because it was her book of the month book. I don't get it, she does, and she just gives someone to me to read. So I gave this back to her the last time I saw her. This book was written in dual timelines. Again, not as bad as like these other books, I would say. Was a little different. And honestly, I didn't care for this book until the last 5 pages. I was like, this is boring. I can kind of guess where this is going. It's about a wedding on a remote island in Ireland or Scotland, and it's the wife is, or the soon-to-be wife is a magazine editor. I forgot what the F the guy does. I don't care. And there's a lot of animosity. Oh my, can't say the word. Between like the guests and the couple, because they're so perfect, and there's murder, there's a death. It's just a creepy island. And just like the last 5 pages blew me away. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. If it wasn't for the last 5 pages, I probably would give it 2 out of 5 stars. But it's also like not the best thriller, if right. It's not really thriller. I don't know. It's just more like a mystery. A little brain teaser. Okay. the next one I have, which is Blue, The Color of Noise by Steve Aoki. I loved this book. I really thought it was dope. Obviously, as I said in my book haul, when I got this book, huge Steve Aoki fan, huge EDM fan. Love to hear about how people got into it. And honestly, like, there was a good chance that I was never gonna hate this book. I definitely thought it was going to be exactly the same as the While You Were Sleeping Netflix documentary. I don't know if it was only on Netflix, but I watched it on Netflix. It was not. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing I wish was in here more is about his personal life. That's very dramatic, because it does go in a lot to his personal life and childhood and relationship with his parents, but like more about his relationship aside of his parents. Like, I know he was engaged for a while. I kind of wish it went into that more, but it does go in a lot about his early starting career music, straight edge, you know, scream bands, and it has pictures, which I love. The only thing I would say about this book is the paper was really weird, and that made it kind of weird to read, but I loved it. And if you want to learn more about the start of Steve Aoki, I recommend it. It also goes into like how he had bad relationships with other DJs. Essentially, I know I talked about this in my book haul, so I'm not going to get into it, about like ED or USB DJs versus real DJs. Him caking people and thinking like, okay, that this is more it's not an art form anymore. It's more of a performance, and how, you know, a lot of people wouldn't have him perform because of that, because I don't know. Just read it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next book was Jock Roll by Sarah Nay, another romance book. And this one was about this rugby player who was really scruffy and a girl he met at a party. It was short. It was great. We're running low on time, so I'm just gonna kind of make these quicker. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because I wish it was longer. I wish it was more developed. The one thing I loved about this is, one, I love rugby. I love watching rugby. I love everything about rugby. So I loved that. And the other thing is the girl was an engineer. I loved it even more. So just love all around. Wish it was longer, and that's why I got 3 out of 5 stars. The next book, Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth. This was on my TBR for a while. I was extremely disappointed. I almost didn't finish this book. And I was like, I don't really care when reading this book. The mother-in-law dies, and it's a dual timeline of, you know, past of the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law's perspectives, and then present from the daughter-in-law, and they're just like learning more about her, and I just did not care. Nothing about this book made me care from the start to the end, but I finished it and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I could probably give it 1 out of 5 stars, but whatever. The next book was The Mistake by Al Kennedy. This is also from the same series of The Deal. And I believe this is the second book in that series. As we have another hockey player, John Logan, and he has a sex encounter with a freshman named Grace Ivers, and this takes place over a longer period of time. She's a virgin. He doesn't hook up with virgins, makes her feel bad because she's about to lose her virginity to him. Then he feels really bad because he is really into Hannah from the first book. And then eventually he realizes he just wants what Hannah and Garrett had from the first book, not Hannah. Tries to apologize to Grace forever. Then they start going on dates. He has this huge problem with his family. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. Definitely wasn't as good as The Deal. Definitely didn't care as much as The Deal, you know, but they end up together. The next one was Own Your Everyday, Overcome the Pressure to Prove and Show Up For What You're Made Of by Jordan Lee Dooley. I've listened to her podcast. I've read the book. It was on my TBR for a while and I just did it. It was okay. It was an average self-help book. I won't get into too much of it. 3 out of 5 stars. So we have 2 more. And these I read around this week. The first one is Death in Her Hands by Otessa Mossfegh. So I haven't read Eileen by Otessa Mossfegh, which I heard is very comparable to this book, but I read My Year of Rest and Relaxation and I loved it. And I think about that book a lot. So I was really excited when I saw this one because it sounded like a book I would like. So this older woman, I think she's 72, she's in her 70s, named Vesta, sees a note in the woods that a woman named Magda was murdered here. Her husband has died. She has her dog Charlie, and it's just it's literally 6 hours, if you listen to the audiobook, of an internal monologue of her guessing and putting a story behind Magda. And then we learned she's not the most reliable narrator, and honestly, I did not care for it. I was like, I don't want to be in this crazy woman's head for 6 hours. I gave it 1 star. 1 out of 5 stars. I did not like it at all. My stomach grumbled. Okay, we're at 7:41 a.m. So we have 5 minutes to go 1 book. And finally, the last book is Paris Charm School, French Secrets for Cultivating Love, Joy, and a Certain Je ne sais quoi, by Jamie Callum. This was also in my book haul. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. I thought it was going to be funny or a list of tips. It was a lot of stories I didn't care about, and not a lot of tips. I did not particularly like it. I would not recommend this book, but it's a gorgeous cover. And they told you to wear orange, and orange is my least favorite color in the entire world. I will never wear orange unless I have to. Ever. So, there are my books. July was the romance era, the beginning of a romance era, maybe the end of the romance era. We won't know. But that's what we got. And we will see if I can get any others finished by the end of July. But until then, until next time, have fun. Keep reading. Read better books than I guess some of the ones I do.